What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of 5 Minutes of Management. I'm Frank Kalman here with Rick Bell. Rick, we got a lot of activity happening on the workforce front. We had Workforce Live in San Francisco this past week,
kicking off the fall.
Yeah, kicking off the fall season, which was a awesome event. Thank you if you came out. We had, I think, about 100 people in the room. Great speakers, great Q&A, great discussion, all around really solid event. So if you were at the Workforce Live in San Francisco, be sure to check out the digital edition on November 19th. We'll also be broadcasting talks from our two upcoming Workforce Lives in Chicago on October 22nd at the Hard Rock Hotel, and then in Dallas at the Four Seasons in Las Colinas on October 27th. So, and as always, we have Workforce
Focus is coming up November 9th in Boston at the Ritz-Carlton.
Beantown.
And I just heard that Fitbit has joined in as one of the sponsors. And there's a rumor, and I think it's pretty substantiated, that everybody who shows up will get a Fitbit. So, very cool.
I will not confirm or deny. We'll have to wait and see.
Just between us. Okay.
So, Rick, what do we have on the news front this week?
Okay. So, Frank, Gallup poll shows that American workers are a little less concerned with their jobs these days. So, the survey shows a decrease over time in the number of workers concerned about experiencing pay cuts, layoffs, and benefits reduction than in past years. You know, we did just come out of this nasty recession, and everybody was worried about their jobs, and so, but apparently less so. But one of the factors was when the unemployment rate is at its height, workers' fears are up there as well. So previous polls indicate that 30% of workers were fearful of having their hours scaled back in 2011, and 44% of workers were worried about losing benefits compared to 34% today. So the employment situation is putting people at ease.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rick, interesting story out of the Wall Street Journal. College majors, always a hot topic. We were just discussing before the video about the different college majors we've heard of. You know, you could go the traditional route. You could be a business major. You could be an engineering major. You could be a biology major. But the Wall Street Journal is reporting that a lot of college students these days are deciding to create their own offbeat majors. According to the Journal, they mentioned one student at Brown University that created her own major. She calls it love.
Nice.
And she eventually went on to be an entrepreneur, to create a dating website that's actually attracted a lot of attention in venture capital funding. So that major paid off. But there are other students at Brown and other schools that are majoring in things like pop culture and peace studies and anything you can think of, where they're sort of hodgepodging their own class schedules together and basically pulling majors out of the blue. What makes this conversation interesting for me is, and I think for our readers out there in workforce land, is, you know, we've kind of had this discussion about what the worth of college is. Mm-hmm. You know, is it practical to kind of create these own ambiguous majors, or should students be taking a more practical path by majoring in, you know, fields like business and, you know, biology and other things like that that seem to lead to more sustainable career paths?
Anthropology.
What are your thoughts?
I want to major in beer.
Yeah. I kind of did major in beer.
I minored in single malt scotch. Yeah. If you can create a major and you see a career path there, it's like, yeah, I think that's a great opportunity. And bravo for colleges for encouraging something like that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nuance in today's job market. I think absolutely there's sort of that cost-benefit analysis world where, employers are going to look at your skills and say, you know, where's your specialty? You know, you need to have a level of specialization. But then there's sort of that other side of the fence that says maybe specialization is bad, that you should have more of a broader liberal arts education to sort of hedge in case that industry that you're specialized for has maybe a cyclical event happen that kind of puts you in a tough spot if you're trying to find or advance to a new job. So again, I think as always with conversations like this, I think it's a delicate balance. I think if you're a student trying to choose your major, you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of your situation. If you're an employer, I think, you know, I wouldn't be too discouraged by major. You know, it's really, you know, does this person have the potential to develop the skills that are necessary for this job?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, and that also brings up, is it better to be a jack of all trades versus somebody who's really focused in on one thing or another? So, yeah, interesting discussion.
Yeah. So what else we got? We have some.
Well, speaking of beer, Frank, it is football season, right?
It is.
We are in football season right now. And of course, that means we have games on Thursday night and Sunday night. And if you're watching college,
Thursday. Every night but Wednesday.
It sure seems like it, yeah. So it's interesting because a poll from a company named Blowfish says that 50% of American workers have showed up to work hungover. Now, 28% of the respondents report being late to work because of a hangover. 7% have admitted to a hangover that a hangover affected their performance on the job. So it's like with football season in full gear right now, it's just like people are going to be staying out late. So according to this poll, then you might have some hungover workers showing up the next day.
And you know what? To be honest, I don't know what the takeaway is for the HR professional. I think it is,
have lots of 7-Up in the refrigerator.
Yeah, 7-Up, access to water. I think, lots of liquids. Maybe provide Gatorade. Pedialyte is a popular choice. I've heard.
Coconut water.
Yeah, coconut water.
Not that I've ever needed it.
Yeah, I don't even know what a hangover is. So. No, in all seriousness, it's an interesting stat. I can't say I'm all that surprised. If you're out there and, I'm speechless. It's quite a stat.
I've never noticed it.
It's quite a stat. Well, that's all we have for Workforce Live. For a perfectly sober Frank Kalman and Rick Bell, we'll see you next week.
Bye.